Hello fam, what is cracking? It is your girl, Lillian Francis, back with another Ableton Live tutorial. It is my goal to make learning Ableton Live as fun and not annoying as possible, so thank you for joining me. I also teach private Ableton lessons, so if you're interested in getting some one-on-one instruction from me, then holler at your girl. Today, we are going to learn how to take found sounds that we record on our own and turn them into drum racks that we can use in our projects. We're gonna talk all about the nitty-gritty, how to do it, but if there's one thing that you get out of this video today, it's feeling inspired to go out there and sample the world around you. As producers, we can just spend a lot of time inside the box like deedle booping, but it's fun to go out there and like engage with the world and bring your surroundings into your music. It makes it totally unique and just makes it fun. Ooh, that's a light. Hey, buddy. Superstar lighting. And today is a very special collaboration between your girl and my girl, Courtney from Court Climbs. Courtney and I connected over our love of rock climbing, and she runs a rad rock climbing YouTube channel, which I will link below. And Courtney did something really cool. She recorded a bunch of sounds from her climbing gear, like her gree and quick draws. And if that means nothing to you, don't worry, we will learn more. And then I'm gonna take it and make a song out of it. And then she's going to sing over the song, and it's gonna be like a celebration song that you play when you send it. Also, I want to draw your attention to my dope ass necklace, which is a climbing hex, an old school climbing hex. So I'm gonna be using the recordings that Courtney sent me, but for you, it all starts with whatever you have to record. What I normally do is just use my iPhone to record whatever the fuck, from dropping pencils to boiling tea kettles to just any clink clank around the house. It's good to search for different frequencies, you know, like, what would sound like a kick? Oh, that doesn't sound like a kick. Yeah, shit like that. Record what you want. It doesn't actually matter. Just get out there, record some shit. All right, with that introduction out of the way, let us dive right on in. Splash. All right, fam, welcome to my proj. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is go to my preferences, command comma, and I'm gonna turn off auto warp long samples. You can keep this on, it doesn't really matter, but it's annoying to drag in a bunch of clips that get warped and then you have to unwarp every single one and sometimes like drag out both ends to get it to be a normal clip again. So I'm just going to turn that off, and then we're going to drag all of our samples, which you should have uploaded to your computer or like airdropped to your computer or texted to your computer, whatever, and drop them all into an audio track. Now in this case, hello Courtney. Yeah, let's go, baby. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go through it and see what we like. Let's find out what Courtney did with it. So now I'm just going to listen through all of this and see what piques my interest, what I like, what I might want to throw in a drum rack, and just crop the parts that I do like. This is just a rough pass. I'm going to come through later and like be more meticulous about where I'm cutting. This is mainly just to mark which ones I like. Oh, fuck yeah. This will be great for actually making the song. We're gonna use this for some melody. Excellent, folks. So I've gone through and got everything that I want. Now I'm going to delete all the ones I am not using. All right, fam, now I have all the samples that I'm gonna wanna use in my drum rack. So I am going to go ahead and do another pass, check them out, make sure that my start and end points are actually how I want them. And then when they're all good, I'm gonna hit Command J and consolidate them. Now it's not necessary to consolidate them. If I were to drag this into a drum rack as is, it would be there. I would be able to hit C3 or whatever pad it's on and hear it just fine. But if we open up the simpler, you're gonna see that there's audio information before the start marker and after the start marker. That kind of clutters up the rack in my opinion. If we're gonna go through anyways and change our start and end markers, it's just easy to consolidate at the same time. And then when we drag it into the drum rack, it'll just be the clip that we are looking at. All right, now that we have all of our samples created, we are going to create a new MIDI track and drag in that drum rack. Move that drum rack. Extreme Makeover Home Edition, folks. LOL. Anyways, fam, y'all probably know what a drum rack is, so I won't get too deep into it, but drum rack, we have 128 different pads where we can put different samples and then trigger them on our keyboard, MIDI device, what have you. So if we go ahead and open up our chain list here, this is where all of the chains or signals from our pads are going to be located. So we can go ahead and select all of our little clip friends and then drag and hover it above your drum rack. Hello, there we are. And then drop it in the chain list. And then here they are. Ta-da! Right now it looks like a hot mess, so I'm going to go through it and just rename them. You do not have to do this, but again, it does look like a dumpster fire. I'm just naming them the first thing that comes to mind. Ooh. Oops, I did not consolidate this one. If you find one that you forgot to consolidate, you can right click and hit crop sample. Cool. Now you probably have realized that when you open up a drum kit, there's normally an organization to it, right? So it's very standard to see kicks on the bottom left, snare in the bottom right, and then like hi-hats on top of it. So you want to keep that in mind as you're organizing this. So I'm going to find the ones that I've labeled kick and drop them on the bottom left. So I grab them and then I just hover above this next little pad. And then if I drop it on bottle, it's going to switch places. So now my kick's there and bottle's there. So I'm just going to do that for the rest of them. All right, next up, let's do some kick processing to make it sound a little kickier. And I'm not gonna go too ham on this. That is not really what this video is about, but we do wanna get something that sounds a little kickier. It's already sounding pretty kicky, but let's go in there a little further. First things first, we want to transpose it so we are getting it in the kick range. Kicks normally fall around 50 hertz, so let's see where this one's located. I'm going to pull up my spectrum analyzer, which is going to show me the frequencies in my kick. So as we hit this, I can see that it's peaking around like 65 hertz, which is pretty good. I'm going to get it down just a little bit. So I'm going to open up my controls panel over here and we're going to try transposing it down a semitone or 4. Awesome. So my fundamental is right around 50, which is just where we like it. Now if I drag in, you can see that my waveform is kind of whiling out at the beginning. I'm going to pull it in just a little bit. Cool. That is hitting a little harder. Now, kick drums do a cool thing. Because of the way a kick drum is built, they have a little bit of a pitch drop at the beginning. We're gonna emulate that by going into our controls and turning on our pitch envelope, and then change the amount we want it to begin at. So right now the attack's at 0 milliseconds, so it will start at this pitch. So let's go to 24 semitones, and then decay is the amount of time that it's going to take to get to our sustain level. So right now it's gonna take 33 milliseconds to get to our sustain level, which is 0%, which is no transposition at all. So right now it's hitting, it's got like a good swoop to it, but obviously there's a lot of high end and we don't really want that too much. So I'm gonna throw on my little EQ, pull the frequency to just under 50 hertz because we know that's where fundamental is. It's rolling off underneath there. And there's like a lot of high end. Take that out, but then we're going to add some saturation and bring some harmonics back in. So let's go to audio effects, saturator. Let's try hot tubes. Cool, already sounding better. Maybe hit the hot swap and try a couple different other presets. I'm just moving up and down with my arrow keys and then hitting enter to experiment with a different preset. Cool. Mid-range fattener sounds dope, so let's do it, baby. And I'm hearing some harmonics I don't love, so I'm going to throw on an EQ, another bad boy. And I'm going to hit this little preview headphone icon, and this will allow me to hear whatever frequencies I'm boosting or cutting so that I can identify the frequency that I'm like, no. Yeah, right around there. Pulling it down, bringing up the Q, and let's add a little compressor as well. Get it cruising. Let's make a 4-to-1 ratio. Take up the attack. All right, I am liking how this is sounding, so I could go ahead and copy these little guys over to my other kicks as well, but mind you, we may have to go back in and adjust the pitch envelope for the other kicks if that's how you want them to sound. Let's also just listen to the kick with and without the processing. So without. Cool. Next, I'm going to try to create somewhat of a snare. So I don't have like a snare sound here. So I'm going to combine different bits and pieces from the samples. Maybe the hit of one sample and the upper shimmer of another. I'm going to go through and figure out how we can combine them. That has like a good transient. I might want that little clutter of the clock. Ooh. Yeah, maybe a little bit of that like Velcro. The pop could be something. Not the bottle. That is snare-like. All right, fam, I'm going to grab this little friend here and I'm going to hit Command G and this will create an instrument rack. And now I can go ahead and open up my chain and layer it. So I'm going to layer it with this top. And in order to layer this top guy on top of my clip, I can't just drag it on because it'll just like flip them. So what I'm gonna do is in the sample, I'm going to right click, show in browser. And here I have my sample. And then if I open my clip and I just drag this guy right in and I have layered them up. So clip is playing both of them now. Let's go into my drum rack and replace this with click. And we're gonna rename it snare for now. All right, so we're using like kind of the mid-range hit from this helmet. So let's use that same saturator that we had on the last guy on our kick. Audio effects, saturation, where are you? Mid-range fattener, throw it on. I don't know if that's the one. Digital clip center. That one's doing the trick for me. And let's throw on an echo. Yeah, pull out some of that low end. Maybe boost a little in the smacky range. Cool. So we got that as like the bass. And then for this quick draw, I like it. Let's add like a little flutter, honestly. What else does this need? Let's throw on an echo. I'm basically just sweeping for what I think sounds good and then boosting it. That brightens it up. And then I'm gonna saturate them together because I don't really feel like they sound like they're together. So let's go ahead and throw on a saturator. Let's try warm up highs. There we go. That seems to blend them together a little bit more. Cool. And then I just pulled in this guy a little bit because I felt like it was too long. This makes it a little bit snappier. And I'm gonna layer it with one more thing. I'm gonna take some of the high end of this kick. So I'm gonna go ahead and show in browser, layer in here. Yeah, that kind of has a little bit more body in it. So I'm gonna shape this with an EQ. All right, now we got a snare situation and a kick situation happening. I do want to put a little bit of processing on the entire drum rack. Oh, and let's create just like a little beat. All right, just like a little groove happening. Now I'm gonna add some group processing to all of this to kind of glue it together. So I'm gonna throw on a drum bus and then group it all by selecting both of them, hitting Command G. And then we can go ahead and open up our macros here. And I can right click, map to macro 1, right click, map to macro 2, map to macro 3, map to macro 4, and then I can adjust these on all of these guys. And let's throw on an EQ 8 for good measure, roll off the super lows, and throw on a little bit of glue compression at the end to glue it all together. One other little tidbit to really like make this drum rack even better is opening up your input and output for your drum rack. So you can select it right here when you have your chain open, and then we can go ahead and open up R for return tracks and drop in some audio effects. So maybe we want some reverb. I'm going to use hybrid reverb because I like it. And always remember, if you are adding a return track, you want to make sure that the audio effect on it is at 100% wet. And if you guys have any questions about parallel processing, I just released a video all about parallel processing, so go and check it out. I talk all about returns and sends and all that stuff. And then we could add, say, a little delay in here as well. Turn that to 100% wet, and maybe just make like a cool little like out of sync delay here. And then we can see our sends are these little guys right here. Maybe I'll send a little bit of the delay from the snare. Cool. Feel free to like go crazy, throw on whatever kind of processing you want, whatever kind of effects. This is your drum rack. It is meant to be fun. It is meant to inspire and spark creativity. So this is what we've created. Now name it something fun. I'm gonna name it Court Climbs. Very important, fam. You got to save it. So I hit save right here. It's called Court Climbs. And then later, when I want to add in some of my own percussion and drums, I can go ahead and find it and throw it in. Woo! That was a lot. The next step is going to be making a actual beat / full song out of all the samples that I got today and out of the drum rack that I made. And I'm going to be making that on the next episode. So do stay in touch. Do keep an eye out because it's going to be fun. I'm excited. And then once that song is done, you can go ahead and check it out on Courtney's channel. It will be linked below. Anyways, fam, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like or a subscribe. It would really help with the algorithm and my ego, so I appreciate you for that. That's it. Until next time.